sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Ginger Tea drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Experience 100% Fuji speeds across Uganda with the Airtel Fuji Pocket Wi-Fi available at 123,000 shillings only. It comes with a backup battery and 15 GB free for 1 month. Visit the nearest Airtel shop, device selling shop or Airtel online shop. www.airtel.co.ug/broadband-discover. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you for staying with us, and thank you so much for waking up on UBC TV. We have so much for you, and now we are looking at our newsreel story where we are focusing on domestic violence. We know times are hard, but one of the remedies people run to is home. And what happens when also home becomes hell amidst financial distress, amidst all the complications that have come with the lockdown? I was looking at the recent Uganda demographic health survey report that indicates that 22% of women in Uganda between the age of 15 to 49 have experienced gender-based violence. 22%, 15 to 48 years. But also recently, a report by Action Aid shows that at their premises, since we went into the second phase of lockdown, they have between 25 to 30 women that have come to this home as a refuge because their homes have become a danger. Statistics around police stations in the 5 divisions of Kampala show that on average, each of these police stations at least registers between 25 to 40, sometimes 60 cases of domestic violence in this lockdown. That is according to Maureen Atuhaire, who is the head of Child and Family Protection Unit in Uganda. This is a situation that is very alarming, and we feel it is important we mention about it and see how best we can move to ensure we put domestic violence to an end or reduce these numbers. One would think, Felix, that this is a time maybe where families have more time for one another. Unfortunately, it shows that some families at such a time, instead of mending the broken pieces, are actually tearing apart.
Yeah, well, of course, it's been researched most recent that there's been growth in numbers in terms of how people are behaving, what we call behavior change. And behavior change per se springs from various aspects, and among the many, you would want to look at personal discipline, and the indicators are quite vivid. We've seen challenges in what we call trauma, in terms of how people relate with themselves, but also with the community, or how they respond to regulations. You have seen challenges, again, in the times of the lockdown, that stress, or what we call mental distress. But above all this, there has been evidence of the growing concern in terms of the evil, if I may call it, of domestic violence. Some of the what we call the steerers, or the igniters of domestic violence, are some of those that I've mentioned earlier, like stress or mental distress, trauma, you know, just to mention but a few. But also, in third world countries, you will notice that the causes are very much different from some of the Western world countries, or in countries like America, who are first world countries. Domestic violence, if you go to America, you'll find the cause, let's say causes like poverty, last on the list. But then you look at things like stress and culture on the topmost. But when you come now to the third world country, it is the reverse. Some of the reasons, or if you asked me what could be the major cause of domestic violence in lockdown, I would directly, without even second thought, tell you poverty.
Financial distress.
You may call it that as well, Robert. But relating it to what we said earlier, statistics are coming out to show that this time round it is unprecedented. How? One, and probably also it is important for us to not only look at violence in this sense as to be gender sense based, but to look at it wholesomely, that also the violence can happen against children.
Yes.
In homesteads, not necessarily between husband and wife, or partners. They may not necessarily be husband and wife, but it can happen also to the people in that homestead.
So the effect extends.
Most definitely. So as we look at domestic violence, we must take into attribute the canonical nature of behavior, for you to understand what informs human behavior, to change positively or to change negatively. Now, when you go to issues of relationships, Robert, if some of our viewers, and maybe you are privileged to have studied a bit of human behavior and psychology, if you remember some of the classes, that human behavior responds to situation, to change. Just like in physics, they say that for every reaction,
there's an equal force.
For every action, there's a reaction. Now, let us take down the characteristics of lockdown. That will inform you of majorly because between you and me, the first 2 months of lockdown were not like, let's say starting from, if we look at starting from March last year, the first month of lockdown cannot be the same in terms of numbers of statistics, probably with the 6th and henceforth. You understand? It means that when you're looking at some of the causes, they are cumulative in nature. They accelerated with the stringent times that were brought by the lockdown. What are we saying? The behavior of partners, because these are the principles in terms of castigation of the behavior of principals and how they react to current times informs the numbers of domestic violence or the statistics.
So the hardships that families are going through.
You could call them hardships, but they may not necessarily be hardships. That could be one of them, Robert. But you can also look at things like, one, attention, respect. Then we can look at the absence of individuals to enjoy their own space. I can tell you that it's in Africa where you can marry a lady and you only spend nice time with them for about 15 to 20 years.
And it's normal.
And it's supposed to be normal.
The man has to wake up, go.
And it has been like that for the last
you fend for
10
your family.
or 15 years now. How
Even I know of cultures where men are brought up knowing that that a man does not.
Exactly.
Even if you have nothing to do, rather move around and have these evening classes, meet with fellow men, then ensure you go back home when you're going back home to have supper and sleep.
So, you look at behavior, you look at financial situation. Now, the aspect of finances, in as much as people want to make it top-notch, when you come to research, some of the people who have made studies about domestic violence, myself inclusive, it must be on the lowest. In times of lockdown, you cannot bring out financial challenges as a cause of domestic violence. Yet it is qualified in terms where there is no lockdown. You'll ask me why. Let me give you two scenarios, and these are researched. Robert, before lockdown, it would be easy for your wife to think that you do not provide for them because they knew you are earning. You get the point? Let me put it in the psychological term. The normal life spectrum of a husband or partner or spouse, if you may call them, in normal times cannot be the same in abnormal
times.
So the expectation is that it is very easy for spouses to understand in lockdown that we can no longer have meat 3 times a week. That should be the thought. That's why I'm saying that this whole idea of saying poverty, that is not qualified. You must qualify it deeper than that. Because, Felix, no, just a moment. Because it is not enough for you to say that poverty is one of the causes of domestic violence amid this lockdown, because expectation of women, nobody want to, okay, let's put women in that seat. Expectation of women is coupled with evidence of earning. You get the point? You can't give what you don't have. And women, I can't say some, okay, men will tell you most women don't know that. But that means it comes from somewhere.
Don't you think also an element of the husband having the duty to provide and waking up having nearly or barely nothing to provide is also an escalator? Then, yes, that the woman could know that, yes, we do not have, but there are constants. For example, Felix, a man waking up and you don't know where you're going to get your next penny, yet at the end of the day, the kids are around. They will demand for food, they will demand for lunch.
It's what I said, that you cannot think that everything will be normal amidst an abnormality. That's why I'm saying that if you used to have meat 3 times a week, do not hope to have meat 3 times a week where there is no earning, for example. You get the point. And that's why you have seen that domestic violence has been attributed majorly to the middle income or totally down the brim. That's the reason that the setting of these people is not companionship. And this is again research. The setting of people end up together
because of circumstances.
Yes, they are circumstantial partners. That we had the baby, okay. So that's why it's very hard. Let me tell you, Corona has hit countries like US more than Uganda. And that's a matter of fact. The UK and other countries. But do you hear their domestic violence cases up like in these other third world countries? That's the difference. That the majorly informal people or not well-to-do people have a tendency or habit that at least 90% of their relationships or marriages are situationships, if I may borrow that word. They are as a result of situations. I used to see you, then when you got pregnant, as you said, convenience relationships. Now, when you have such relationships, those kind of relationships will demarcate roles. There will not be a relationship, but there will be roles. Now, you have a house with role players. That's why, away from the money issue, you'll find that also women have been occasioned to beatings and whatever because of not playing to their role play in terms of how they relate. That the man has come back and expects you to play your role, you may want to call it. So we have relationships of role players, but not what we call intimate, or you can also want to call it erotic. There is no affectionate
into this relationship.
Yes, but they are role players. Now, that would mean
Failure
that
to play your role, then a result
you are
would be
breaking. That's why a woman has the courage to tell a man who has been fired, yes, or let me say, okay, you're not responsible. But the person you're saying has lost it.
How come the neighbors are eating or are cooking?
You may find that also this woman is still actually earning. Because most of these women are in Uganda what we call leja. Bambutale, Fumba Mere, Tambuzachi. Some of them still.
So there's not doing life together. It's about fulfilling.
As I said, it is called role plays. And that is partly a causation of culture. That it is in third world countries where people still hold on to such cultures.
A man must provide for the family. A woman's money is kasente.
I remember even us growing up.
There's no doing life together.
Some of our uncles, may so rest in peace, Alex, used to make fun of us. He said that's like and not only from him, I have heard this even from my grandparents. And actually, my sweetheart, my grandmother used to say it jokingly. Tobangachi. But do you know she attributes that to the kind of work you'll do at home, like washing plates. Now, the question is, does washing plates or assisting in domestic work at home make you less of a man? Culture. What does our culture say about family setup? Our culture also has a very, very big issue in terms of role play. That's why they have cut out the things for a man and the things for
a woman.
Now, any person who does not sort their cut out duties, that's why you see, those are some of the, and in lockdown, those are the major causes that we are still running by the book of what society has taught us, culture has taught us, and the circumstances have taught us. Normally, we want to run the trial normally, yet we are in totally abnormal times.
There is one interesting fact, Felix, that amused me while I was speaking to the head of the Family and Child Protection Unit. He told me because of the lockdown, Felix, can you imagine why cases of domestic violence are increasing? She said that previously, because people could easily access police, that once they had a minor argument or tempers were flaring, someone would come to this Child and Family Protection Unit. Then they would call them, mend hearts, find solutions to these problems, talk to them. But now when transportation, people cannot easily go to their usual places, that is why we are seeing fights. And I was like, can you believe there are homes that are run by police?
No, I know this as a matter of fact. I have been part of these mediations. I've been to, very many times I've been to these police protection units. However, interesting to note, it brings you back to the things that I've said. I think that would be unfair. It's not professional for me. But I was going to share a case matter, but let me leave that. Let me just bring an example. The place, and you see, when you're dealing with issues of human behavior, don't think far from yourself. Don't. I want you to just look where you are, either as a woman or a man. Don't try to look for cases away from you. Hey, well, good, you know, start from yourself. How do you feel, for example, when you're doing some things at home, as a man or as a wife? I have seen scenarios where women have taken care. It is easier, let me actually say it as a matter of fact, it is easier for a woman to take care of her children as a single mother. I can say that again. It is fine for a woman to take care of her children as a single mother. But it is a million times hard for a woman.
For a man?
No, for a woman to take care of her children when she is in a relationship with a father or the spouse or whatever. I don't know if you get it. A woman may never do the things she does as a single mother when she's in a relationship or she's married or what.
Because she believes those are not our roles.
Then
why would
how
a
do they
woman
become our
petition
roles? Now,
when there is
why
a
does
father
she have to wait to become a single mother to do them? And this has been the challenge in bringing on board the discussion of equality. Gender equality. This has been the hardness, that we have not gotten to the level of having that discussion. If we are still, we're still carrying a big clog, a big sort of like luggage of the three things I talked about. Tradition. It is in this country where in an association of three men in the same tradition, a woman is not supposed to talk. But between you and me, women are brilliant people. Aren't we missing out
on some
things? That's one.
They're even sometimes better managers.
That's it. Now, these things, and that's why domestic violence in third world countries may never go. That's the bitter truth.
Don't you think we shall get to a level of civility? But you opened a can of worms when you talked about equality. I think this is also another thing that either we've not gotten right or those advocating for it have wrongly packaged it. Because this is also one of the causes, actually, Felix, of gender-based violence in homes, where you find that the gospel of equality is more or less saying what you can do, I can do, and we are equal, and we should have the same roles. Everything should be the same. That's why we've had people talk of empowered women being problematic, this and that. Don't you think also this is an escalator? We've not either packaged it or it's wrong information when it comes to this gospel of equality.
I remember one time I got an opportunity to have I was talking about this topic as presenting a paper. But the question I asked my audience, and I'm going to ask you again, Robert, I'll start with you. What is the difference between a man and a woman?
First and foremost, the biological setting.
Okay.
That is one.
Does that earn?
It doesn't earn.
When you wake up to come and work on TV, are you employed because of your biological setup?
Definitely not.
So what's the difference? Because the discussion about equality comes in terms of society, economic, and all the socio-economic appreciation. So almost everyone in the room failed to give true, crystal clear cutting difference. Nevertheless, the difference is there. It is what you go, if you want to go, it's biological, as you have said. And that's the best difference you can give. Biological. That there's a Kirabo, there's a Priscilla. Maybe Priscilla or X, need to use her name as a colleague, maybe X has breasts. She has a reproductive organ different from, that is as far you can go. But if you come to the spectrum, let's come to the spectrum, and this is where the argument is interesting. Go to the spectrum of education. You can count the number of professors who are women vis-a-vis the number of professors who are, but they all went through the same. What am I saying? Countries that are developed by far have not tied themselves to cultures that do not develop with human nature. I can say it again. Development must detach itself with cultures that are not developmental in nature. You cannot want, for example, to give birth. There's only one process of child conceiving. It is one. Through sexual. Most recently, there have been instances development. But there's one traditional method. Even if you want to do it genetic, whatever way,
there's still something
you still have to get
some natural component
and put it into a woman. That is one. It will never change. People will never fall from heaven like manna. Now, you must accept that by standard, human beings are. And it's going to bring back to my point I told you for the argument of my grandmother and my uncles. And for us, by the way, it was a big deal. In fact, for me, it affected me, not in a bad way. That there are things I would think like 5 times to do, even if I want and I can, and I should. I would look at plates there, I'm like, then you look at them and you secretly see probably your partner is suffering with so many other things.
You want to,
but then you keep on thinking, there's even a time, my uncle one time used to tell us that man is not supposed to eat groundnuts. And those things affect us because I had it over and over and over and over and over and over. Now, every time they would cook groundnuts, I'm like,
previously, women would not eat chicken.
Now
I grew up in a family where actually all my sisters, my cousins would eat grasshoppers. We were told, much as you felt you would love to.
Now,
but you couldn't even go closer.
That once we understand and answer the other question I asked, what is the only difference between, there could be many, but the major difference is biological. Now, it leaves a man on a standing standard the same as a woman. Now, that would mean that even when we have financial challenges, let's put our heads together. Let's not pull up, because for everything, I have seen women today as conductors, I've seen women making lots of money. Brick making bricks, building. It used to be about work. It used to be about dress code. Now women dress trousers. I've seen men also, the Scottish, putting on skirts. So,
and a couple of designs
that
are more feminine, but men are putting them on.
So, we must have a bitter discussion in terms of understanding everyone is good in their place. And we must discuss this, that everyone can be good in their place, but we must deal with this psychological, culture,
ancient way of...
I don't want to call it ancient. Ancient would be a meaning for me, but I know that it is a bit, we need to break from our given cultures, because then they were applicable. A man used to have, Robert Lastly, a man used to have about a square mile of land.
And women were needed to cultivate this land.
So for him, he would be Balingavami, if I may call it. I saw my grandfather. He was a rich man. So he had the audacity to tell the wife, sit home. And because he had everything. But you have one room, you have 7 curtains there with 7 children, you have no job, and now you want to act like you are on top of the game.
Well, when we talk about domestic violence at such a time, let's do life together. Let's treat each other with respect and dignity, and let's deal away with cultures that do not promote development or match with the times. Another aspect we didn't talk about is religion. Also, we must look at those religious beliefs that we still hold on that may no longer be productive at such an era. The only difference Felix has really said between a man and a woman is the biological setting. But I believe everyone has their space. They are good at that.
That's a very hard pill for men to take down. You'll see after the show.
After the show. But you can still send in your comments actually on our various social media platforms regarding the discussion we've been having. That is how best we can reduce instances of domestic violence at such a point of lockdown. Let's work together. Let's do life together. Yes, there are tough times where you can give a helping hand. Please do. And this is for both sex. A man, if you can go in the kitchen. A woman, if you have that a bit of saving. This is a time now that you can do it. if you can, one of my friends had just told me, if you can do about babysitting. Babysitting. I remember one time I visited a friend of mine, Felix, you can do it. Let me give you a scenario that one time I had. A friend of mine, the wife was admitted to hospital. For me. It's called Rollins. The wife was admitted to hospital. So he had a baby and they didn't have a maid. You know what? He gives me a phone call. Do you know how we can ensure that kid gets diapers? And he didn't know how this is done. So I had to call on a friend, and that is how I went in, and we began fidgeting.
So for you, a master in changing diapers. You mean to
I must say these are things I've done, and I'm very okay with them. Washing plates, diapers, baby. Yes, I do it, Felix. I do it at my home.
You wash.
I do wash the plates. What's wrong if you wash plates?
Nothing. You wash your plates.
And I feel comfortable. However, one time I got a nasty incident.
Let me just.
We had one of an old lady in the village. She was just passing by and she had something to pick. Then she thought, she looked as if it was a taboo.
Exactly. Yes. And let me say this lastly. For you, you're there washing plates. Before you know, I remember one of my friends tells me, so now you hear.
But I think these are things, Felix, these are just things that men sometimes we decide to act funny. When we were young, I don't know the way you were brought up, but for us at home, we would cook in tons, wash dishes in tons,
was when we were
in tons, and even when you're still a bachelor, these are things you would do. Have some food around. So let's support each other. That is why even women will say nange squat kusente ya chikazi, because they feel that there is something they shouldn't do. If there is no money, my money is kept for clothes, for mommy.
I can imagine Robert putting together Amanda, Lisa, Kavera.
Please pay me a visit one day. And I do it comfortably, I do it freely. I just love doing life together. God. Well, when we return, we'll be looking at what is trending in the print media. Let's return.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
All soda, water, beer, wine, spirits, and cigarettes were gazetted and are required by URA to bear digital tax stamps before they are sold on the market.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. Experience 100% Fuji speeds across Uganda with the Airtel Fuji Pocket Wi-Fi available at 123,000 shillings only. It comes with a backup battery and 15 GB free for 1 month. Visit the nearest Airtel shop, device selling shop, or Airtel online shop. www.airtel.co.ug/broadband-discover. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Very interesting conversations happening offset. When I said yes, I help in house chores, wash dishes, there. Well, there's so much interesting from the gents in these studios, many that you can see how such a conversation can interest them to be part of. But please, you can keep the fire burning, give us more of how best you can fight domestic violence, and also let us know, do you cook, do you babysit, what do you do in this lockdown? These are our various social media handles. You can go to our Facebook page, you can go to YouTube, but also we are streaming live, so make sure that whatever it is, we need to have those comments, and we'll read them before we close of this show, some of the comments that will be coming in. Looking at the new vision this morning, Gulu University finds treatment for COVID-19. Gulu University finds treatment for COVID-19. A good move. They say the drug has been tried out on over 100 patients. Okay, first was a professor from Bara University who came up with a COVIDX, although now there are legal challenges there on what, who, and where, but that is something. Then 2020 bombing victims remembered, that is survivors of the 2010 Chadondo Ragibe bombing, and relatives of some of the victims place a wreath on the memory, that is to remember what happened. Remember when they attacked us as we were watching, that is World Cup finals at both Chadondo and Ethiopian village in Kabalagala. Still in the New Vision, that is 8 pages of jobs, 40 tenders inside for you. It is a time when many people have lost jobs, but there is some good news for you there. Then 90-year-old missing, her land grabbed. That is Anna Nama Sumbuga. 90 disappeared, late. We look at Hoima leaders take on land thieves. What are they going to do? That is a 5-member land board has been come up with to ensure that they fight this.
Robert, also in the Daily Monitor, we're looking at one ICU bed for at least 188,000 Ugandans.
What is that?
One ICU bed for 188,000 Ugandans.
Better stay safe.
Well, of course, also now the health ministry says they have at least 3,793 beds dedicated for COVID-19. Of these, 3,100 are standard beds and 475 high dependency beds, and 218 are intensive care unit beds. Now, sadly, tragedy here, traffic accident claims 4 family members. It's sad and painful, but also government gives districts city money to fight COVID, and 43,000 city residents get COVID cash, and man arrested for declaring Museveni dead. Now, of course, in health, what is in the herbs you are steaming, and how family support helped Muchibi overcome COVID fear. Well, of course, also inside the papers now, Professor Patrick Ogwang, a COVID ex-producer, has been sued before the High Court in Kampala for claiming ownership the herbal drug used as a supportive treatment for COVID-19. And opposition pressed government on COVID cash. But also from the archives, a former Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Livingstone Mpalanyi Center, after he was enthroned as Namirembe Cathedral, that is in 1995, and the ceremony was attended by many dignitaries from around the world there. But also in history today, envoy drives from Ghana to Uganda. And in history, Russia halts German advance in a decisive battle at Tusk.
In the New Vision, look at statistics. Every day we still score greatly, and we attribute this to the lockdown and, of course, being responsible. Now, death, we have only 14 people succumb to COVID-19. New confirmed cases, 522. Total deaths so far, 2,104. Just not be part of the statistics. Your member of parliament, today the New Vision brings you, that is Dan Atuyejukire Kimosho, who is the MP Kazo County. Today in history, it was on this date, that is the 12th of July, but the year 2007, when President Museveni allowed vendors to redevelop Nakasero Market. Still on the same date, but the year 1998, President Nelson Mandela concluded a 4-day tour of England. Still, they bring you more about COVID-19. These are facts or myth. Will I need to wear a mask after I am vaccinated? The New Vision brings you the expert answering that question for you.
Well, of course, in sports now, that is Magomo applauds Casito's gusty efforts, but also Copa America, Messi finally wins the trophy, and Messi Argentina trophy frustrations end in Copa. Now, this is not over. McGregor after Horic ankle, and of course, also funding cry dominates President Museveni's Olympic team flag off. But also, in what's not different in the papers is what did happen between UK and the Italians. Yes, Robert.
In the New Vision, sports, go out and win. That is President Museveni while launching a book highlighting Uganda's participation in the Olympic Games over the years. Just a reminder, 11 days to go to the Olympics. Rich History, that is a book that was launched, and it shows Uganda's participation since 1956 and how Argentina won it. Yes, that's the Copa America, where the experts, Brazil, didn't take that trophy home despite their tactics and good soccer there, but Argentina outmatched them and went home with a trophy. But these and more, Ruben will be here to give you all the highlights in the world of sports.
Well, of course, also much of that is what we'll be sharing, but let us just simply also give you one of what's also happening again in the Daily Nation now. The Daily Nation, now Ruto answers Uhuru on Hustler campaign and the secrets of ADM. Now, Uhuru Raila allies begin talk without factoring new executive posts tied to BBI case. Now, Jubilee power deal, whether or not it will actually come to life, where ODM and Jubilee will tie the knot. And COVID handling, and of course also the results of the last night's games has also been captured there. But secondary schools face congestion crisis as Form 1 report. This is also a problem anticipated in Uganda. Much of that, get yourself a copy of the papers, the Daily, First Daily Nation, Daily Monitor, and the New Vision. Now, I want to give you a few tips again for traffic, just quickly. For some of you who are getting on the road today and you will be using cars again, take note that when you're driving on the road, and mostly for night hours, some of you who leave home late, you need to make sure that your flashlights are working. Now, a car has different types of lights. For example, it has what we call the dim and the full light. When do you use the dim light, for example? When you're driving normally on other roads and you don't have to, the other road users, you don't have to use full lights. You just drive in the dim lights. Now, you only use your full lights when you are on the road and you're not seeing where you're going. For example, if there's a corner ahead, there's a sign that there will be a sharp corner, or else if there are probably potholes, or if the place is totally so dark, that's when you use full lights. But also, road users have a practice that they use them to signal. You can use them to flash a signal twice to their person, either informing them of anything, depending on where. And normally they are used on highways. Now, it would be unfair for any road user to drive their car at night using full lights. They totally cause inconvenience for the other drivers, and they have caused accidents because they block the visibility of the other driver. They are called full lights because they're actually strong, and the other driver will not be able to see anything ahead of them. Basically, that's what we had for you in our traffic tips. But we have more somewhere in Neverland. She'll tell us where she is. But I want to first take her on if she was able to watch last night's game. Molen, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Felix. And yes, I did watch last night's game. A good one. And guess what? I was on the winning team.
Why you?
The support from me was obvious, as seeing it all over and social media. People, you know, that the English guys unfortunately lost, but for me it was a good game and very interesting. Felix, what team were you supporting? For sure.
In other language, they call this Wamukomba Midali. So I am a Mukomba Mudali, I'm a son of the Pope. There's no way I wouldn't support Italiano. And these guys have always given us a good game. And it's been precedented. So I had a discussion with Ruben earlier that there will be no need to break the pedigree. Can the Englishmen break the pedigree? But anyway, Molen, also on the side of nature, there's this big question I would want to know. What is the contribution of this, like what human activities can contribute to making rain? There's been this question all over. Are there some human activities that contribute to changing climate for the good, away from natural ways? Are there any other? Because since the world is going a lot of, we are now making robots, what? Kirabo talks about artificial rain. I don't know if there's a... Is there artificial rain?
Yes. Apart from the traditional ways that actually I think for sure Kirabo believes in, that is the traditional way of making rain. And I think some of that was thought about during last swearing in, where people were claiming that maybe as Uganda, there is a group of people that came together to make sure it didn't rain that day. But also we've seen mostly on weddings, different functions where people seek for traditional interventions in terms of whether it will rain or not. I personally do not agree in that. And I will stand by the fact that it is not scientifically proven. And for me, if there is no science involved to prove that this could actually work, I won't agree with it. So yes, there is that traditional aspect, but I believe someone who really doesn't believe so much in science like me might have some truth to it. But also, scientifically, there is what we call cloud seeding. Now, cloud seeding involves injecting different chemicals into the existing clouds already in the atmosphere. And then when that happens, it makes these clouds actually form rain. And then we can see rain happening after that. But this is a very, very expensive process because it involves having these chemicals in a very huge amount, and also now we have to have like aircrafts are the ones that do go and inject these different chemicals into the cloud. Now China did try cloud seeding in the past, but it has not been a successful process to think about doing on a daily basis, or it could be a solution, especially to areas that are undergoing drought scenarios. But so far the science is there, the process is there, but I think due to the expensive nature of it and something that cannot be done really on a large scale, it makes it impossible to really take on, and especially for developing countries, it is really a hard one. But it is a process that is scientifically proven, and it does work. But like I said, it is really stretched to how much it can be done on what level.
Okay,
then that makes it really hard.
So clearly, I will not be getting any artificial rains recently because of the price. Now you know how expensive rain is. So make sure when it comes, as we used to be, play in it and collect a lot of water away from, because we can't buy it. But Bolin, I'll let you take us through our weather updates, but I hope you're fine, and I'm glad this time I'm happy for seeing you this morning, and you look on point, if I may add. I hope.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Molly.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Felix. It's a good Monday. It's really nice weather for me. And yes, I am looking nice. Thank you very much. My name is Molen Kenyana. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back from the finals, the Euro finals last night. That was a fun game. And yes, there were celebrations, even with the given lockdown. A lot of Ugandans did celebrate the Italy win. And myself, I think I've had just a few hours to sleep. I did have to go on and celebrate that much. It was really important. But yes, let's come back into the weather and nature world. We want to look at also what happened over the weekend. We did have alerts of cold weather across East Africa. Kenya did give out an alert on the coldness that was expected across Kenya, but also for us here in Uganda, we do have a report that we'll be looking at later, showing our climate outlook for July. But we did see also those wet spells across the country, mostly even Kampala here, Lake Victoria Basin, that includes Wakiso, Entebbe, and much of Western Uganda. We did have those rains, but still very quite cold conditions for early morning. And also later, we did look at more cold weather, and we can still expect that. Now, we have a report coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority that is showing us the climate outlook for July. Now, what we're seeing there is what is expected in terms of maximum temperatures. Now, where you see the red to orange color, that is where we do expect more temperatures above 24 to 30. Now, we have West Nile in that red, orange color. That zone is showing that temperatures over there might reach up to 30. That is 24 to 30. That takes in Arua. That is where we have Yumbe. That is where we have Padel, Gulu. All those areas are expected to have temperatures going up to from 24 up to 30. Now you see the yellow color, the areas in the yellow color, those will be between 20 to 25. Now that is where we have also parts of central north and also the Choga region. Lira is around there as well. Also for Midwestern, Masindi is also there. Now also that extends up to the Karamoja region where we do see some of the yellow color, but at the same time there is that light blue over Karamoja, also indicating that temperatures will be quite low. And I can tell you that is attributed to the wet weather conditions expected over that region. Now you see where there is a deep blue color, that Mount Elgon region, that is where we have Mbale, Bududa. That area is likely to have quite low temperatures for this month. That will be up to 20 and below, going up to also the Lake Victoria Basin, Western Uganda, and the southwestern part of the country where we have Kigezi Highlands and also Mount Rwenzori region. That area is expected to have mostly cold conditions throughout this July. Also looking at what we expect in terms of minimum temperatures, still the southern sector of the country is expected to have more low conditions compared to the rest of the country, except for the Karamoja region and also Mount Elgon Highlands, where we do expect to have cold conditions. Temperatures will be going up to 25. It is going to be a chilly month across these regions. It is also an alert in terms of health because cold conditions are related mostly to different illnesses that could result from this cold weather. And also looking at what we do expect the potential effects of this climate outlook for July, we are talking about more rainfall expected across the Karamoja region as well as northern Uganda. Now this is the time that we are telling farmers across those regions continue with the planting, continue with the weeding. Now right there is our minimum temperatures that we are expecting for July. Take a look at the southern sector. Like I was saying, this is expected to have a cold weather and temperatures expected below 20, where you see the dark blue, light blue colors on the map. That is showing temperatures below 20 degrees, and that is expected mostly across the southern sector. We also have parts of Karamoja expected to have those cold conditions, also in dark blue, light blue there, and also for eastern Uganda, Soroti, mostly Tororo, we have Mbale, Bududa, Sironko in that area, and also for Rwenzori region. Take a look at that part close to Lake Albert, Kasese, Bwera, that those areas of Untoroko, also for Bundibujo, southwestern Uganda. We also have Mbarara, Bushenyi in that category, Kabale, Kisoro, and also Ntungamo. All that region is expected to have really cold weather. And for Kabale, it will be cooler. We might see temperatures up to 14, 13, even in terms of maximum temperatures. That is also going to be high. But looking at our minimum temperatures, these are mostly night temperatures to early morning, and that is expected to really be a cold forecast for July. This is one to actually look out for, because even if we have less rains expected for southern sector, this cold weather might still pose a challenge across the region, and most areas will be having at least normal temperatures. That is for central north, also for West Nile, and also parts of central Uganda. But the Lake Victoria Basin still is in the blue category, where we're seeing the deep blue mostly to the western parts of Lake Victoria. That is Masaka, Sembabule. That area is still expected to have cold weather, mostly in the morning hours to night hours. So we still do expect less rains for this month
across the southern sector, which is why we're also giving out an alert to have more irrigation practices for farmers where we are expecting rains to actually be low. Do carry out those irrigation practices. And also to tell you, we do have our second rainy season coming up, but that is from September up to November. So for the areas that are not going to be having rains, this is a perfect time to start planning for the next season, that is September up to late November, second rainy season over Uganda. This is a perfect time to actually start doing that, but also you can carry out irrigation practices for small scale farming or even large scale if it is available for you. And still there is an alert for flash flooding across the Karamoja region and central north. These are the areas where we do expect more rains for this month. So yes, that is in the picture. Do look out for that. That could happen, especially due to the fact that rains are likely to increase over these areas, especially for low-lying areas like Karamoja. It is a low-lying area, so yes, even when these rains are expected, there is a high likelihood that this could create flash flooding. And also with an alert for cold weather, it makes it really something that we should take note of. We want to go ahead and take a look at our forecast this morning, but from what I can tell you of our satellites, it shows that most places within the country have been experiencing intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions this morning, with rain starting to develop over the Lake Victoria, still over the islands, but that system will be coming over land this morning. And we will start with Midwestern Uganda, which is where we have Hoima, we have Masindi, Bulisa in that category. We are expecting isolated showers, temperatures at 26 degrees centigrade. Quite a cool morning, but over 20%, close to 20% of the area will be seeing those showers. Northern Rwenzori, which is where we have Kabarole, we have Ntoroko in that category, Kamwenge, we are expecting to have isolated showers, basically also 20% of the region expecting these rains this morning, temperatures of 24, quite a cold start of into Monday over there. Now, Southern Rwenzori, which is where we have Kasese, where we are already seeing that cloud starting to develop over that area, but that will only be bringing us some light rains over a few areas. Not everywhere we'll be seeing these rains, just a few, and temperatures will go up to 26 degrees centigrade. More rains are expected over this area later in the afternoon, so do look out for those. At Kigezi Highlands, that is where we have Kabale, Kunjiri. What is interesting this morning is temperatures are really cold. It is a cold start off into Monday at 21 degrees centigrade. These are like nightly temperatures here in Kampala, but this is for entire morning across Kigezi Highlands, and we do expect a mix of clouds and sunshine across that area. Now, coming back here, Central Lake Victoria Basin, where we have the nation's capital, Kampala, and Entebbe, we do have Kayunga, Mukono in that category, Wakiso, Mpigi. We are expecting to also have isolated thunder showers at 23 degrees. It's also a cool morning starting off across this region. These rains will be coming back 20% of the forecast area, likely to see these rains. We already have those clouds developing, but they will be bringing us rains across a few areas. Now, Western Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Rakai, we have Kalisizo, Masaka, Rengo, Bokoma, and Simbi in that category. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine and quite a chilly morning as well at 25 degrees centigrade. Looking at western parts of Central, where we have Gomba, Mitiana, Mobende, Chiboga, and Tankwazi in that category, we are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine just at pleasant 26 degrees centigrade, but we do expect rains to come in the afternoon across this region, Kasongola and Nakaseke. We are forecasting isolated showers across the region. We do have more rains expected later in the afternoon, still across this region. For now, temperatures expected to go up to 26 this morning, but later in the afternoon, we are expecting rains over that region. Do look out for that. Now, Southwestern Uganda, where we have Ntungamo, where we have Mbarara, Bushenyi, Rubirizi, and Shema, Buhweju, we are starting off the day with isolated showers, full forecasted for this region. Temperatures are 25, quite a chilly morning over there as well, and also moderate winds. Now, the winds being moderate add to the chilly conditions in that region. Well, West Nile, this is where we have Arua, Nebi, Zombo, Yumbe, and Koboko. We do expect to start off the day with isolated thunder showers. We do have those cloudy conditions already developing across that region, and that will be bringing us rains across that area. Also, there is a likelihood that the rains will continue into the afternoon at temperatures going for 25 this morning. Now, Central North, where we have Gulu, Padel, Kitgum, and Nyoya in that region, we do expect to start off with the isolated thunder rain. Now, those will be really light showers across, light rains across just a few areas at 24 degrees. Quite a cold morning starting off actually across Central North. We do expect more rains as well later in the afternoon, but for now, those will be just light across a few areas. Now, the northern Choga region, we are expecting to have isolated light rains. That is where we have Lira, we have Otuke in that category, Amolata, also starting off at 24 degrees. This is quite chilly weather over there, considering that we usually, the last months, at least for morning temperatures, we've been looking at 26, 27. So when we talk about 24, 25, that is actually chilly weather starting off for the morning. Now, Eastern Choga, that is Soroti, Serere, we have Katakwi, we have Kumi in that category. Aboria, we are starting off the day with mostly intervals of sunny and cloudy conditions. Much sunshine, though, expected this morning across that region. Temperatures will be at 25 degrees centigrade. Again, also compared to what we've had across last month, mostly morning weather in terms of temperatures has been up to 26, 27 for this Eastern Choga. But now we're also looking at 25, which is comparably really low as to what we expect even for the coming days in July. Now, northeastern Uganda, that is the Karamoja region, where we have Kotido, we have Kabong, Abim, Napak, we have Amudat and Nakapiripirit. We do expect scattered thunder rain. Now, those will be over like 50% of the forecast area, seeing these rains also starting off at 23. Looking at what we have in our forecast for July, this is already performing. 23 is really low for the Karamoja region starting off this morning. And also coupled with the fact that we do have moderate winds over there, it is really going to feel like cold weather across that region. Now we have Mount Elgon Highlands, that is where we have Mbale, that is where we have Manafwa, Bududa, we have Kapchora in that category, Amudat. We are starting off the day with a forecast of isolated rains. But take a look at those numbers there, 21 degrees centigrade expected for this morning. This is really cold weather. This can be compared to what we have in Kabale right now. So yes, the western part, I mean the eastern sector across Uganda is experiencing cold weather this morning as we speak, and still in our forecast. We will be looking at even the maximum temperatures later in the afternoon. We expect these temperatures to not go beyond 27. Still, it is cold weather forecast across the Elgon Highlands and also for Eastern Lawrence. We do expect those rains this morning with isolated showers. Only like 20% of the forecast area will be seeing these rains. I'm talking about Bukedia, Palisa, we have Budaka, we have Butaleja and Kayo in that category. Although we do expect these rains to come in, but also the temperatures are low. Like I said, the eastern stretch of the country is expected to have mostly cold weather as we look at our performance in terms of forecast for this July. We'll be giving you more updates here on our daily segment of weather and nature. But so far, I can tell you we are looking at most parts of the country experiencing low temperatures. Yes, you can complain about the coldness, but there are a little tips here and there. For example, one of them is putting on stockings. And yes, this is advised by scientists, especially for night temperatures that are likely to get cold. Having your stockings on is one way to keep yourself warm. But also, remember, when there is cold weather, it's kind of dehydrates. So yes, it is also a great time to keep yourself hydrated. Drink lots of water. It helps for you to keep hydrated when we are talking about cold weather, related to also reduced wet weather activities, most especially for the southern sector of the country. Yes, please do stick around. I'll leave you here. We do have Good Morning Uganda agenda coming up, and also Ruben will be here to give us more highlights on what happened last night, and also more in the world of sports. You can catch our conversations. We are streaming live on YouTube at UBC Television Uganda, and also via our social media handles. My name is Molin Kenyana, wishing you a good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by was brought to you by.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go. MTN. When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Hallelujah Jinga Tea drink and Hallelujah Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body, because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Hallelujah Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Hallelujah from all shops around.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from Weather and Nature with Maureen Kenyana there. We just hope we don't get to a time when we can have artificial rain in Uganda, because the way people hope and would use rain to disorganize others, more so in the political arena, would then be very massive and a problem indeed. But it is time for Good Morning Uganda agenda, where we look at issues of national concern that affect you, affect me, and affect everybody. Now today, we are going to be giving you updates regarding the COVID-19 relief cash. Some have codenamed it Nabanja money. This is money that government put aside that is to help actually the vulnerable or most affected by COVID-19. And with me in studios, I have Frank Mugabi, who is going to be giving us more an insight on this 53.7 billion set apart for the most affected by this lockdown. Mugabi, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you so much, and good morning, Ugandans watching us this morning.
How is it at the ministry? Is this a time of jubilation? Are you blessed hard? Is it when you're working most?
Like it's like normal business, by the way, because Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development deals with what we would call the vulnerable populations. When you talk about the women, talk about the children, talk about the workers, talk about persons with disabilities, talk about the elderly persons, all those fall within our docket as a ministry. And these have peculiar needs that need to be addressed in a different way in terms of development, national development. So we are at the center of planning remedial programs for those kind of populations. So you would imagine that on a daily, if you're not handling an issue to do with a person with disability, you're handling an issue to do with an older person who is receiving money in a certain district. If you're not doing that, you're addressing gender-based violence among women or violence against children. So it's a big docket. The workers, they have many issues. I've been chased from work, I didn't have a contract, what do I do? All those things fall back to us in the ministry. So it's quite a busy ministry and very critical at that. But in terms of the relief cash, yes, we have been very active to try and beat this within a very short time, because you realize that we don't have much time to implement this. People are waiting for this money, and they are rightly doing so. But you see, when you're dealing with government funding, there are some steps you can't jump. For example, you have to have proper records of how everything was implemented, because after all this, there's going to be an audit. So the auditor would like to look at, okay, yes, you got a presidential directive, but where did you start? Who received what? How much did they receive? Where are they? Where are the telephone numbers? Can we call them? Who was involved? Then they go beyond that, interview these intended beneficiaries. So if you don't have your records right, you're in trouble. And that is where our biggest time has been spent, creating a system that is able to capture these details so that even after so many years, we can retrieve it if anybody wants to look at it. And people will not understand that very much, the ordinary person. Once they have heard the government is giving out money, the next day they want their money on their phone if they have been registered. But remember, the registration is done on a piece of paper. Once they updated the lists, they send them to the division. From the division, there is somebody transferring those details from the piece of paper to a computer system, and they are typing. So imagine they are typing my details as Frank Mugabe. They will start with my name, type it text by text. They go to my telephone number, 077 whatever it is. They go to my NIN number. So all those, and you need a keen eye. If you're typing somebody's number, somebody's NIN, you need to be critical whether it is right, because one digit means you're typing somebody else totally, and the details won't match. And the system we are working with is able to look out for those details. If Frank Mugabe, as registered on the ID, is not matching with the registration on the phone number, the system will throw that number aside and tell us, guys, this one has an error. Rectify. Those that are clean, they are taken to another folder for payment, where you just click and payment goes.
Maybe Frank, before you even go into how many have so far received, let's properly understand what is the criteria, away from the categories that we know, but how does one among these categories qualify? What is the process of selection to the level where we can say, yes, now let's click the payment button?
The process of selection was simple. We said, let's look at our colleagues who work within urban centers. Those are the cities, including KCCA, and municipalities. Now, these areas have a unique need.
So you must be in a city or a municipality.
Exactly. Within the confines of a municipality or cities. You know, now we have cities across the country. And then KCCA. Now, you must be working within the center of the cities, because the logic of this lockdown, this particular lockdown we're in, is to decongest the urban centers. Because urban centers had become a super spreader for coronavirus. People come from wherever they come, they pour in the town center during daytime. By evening, nobody is in town. But the person who has come in town at that moment has interacted with so many people, contracted the disease, taken it back home, and the spread continues. That's why we saw a very sharp rise in the virus during that moment. Now, government decided that, okay, let's first decongest to control the spread. But as you do that, there are these colleagues of ours who depend on daily income, daily earnings within these centers. People who really do the small pieces of work that earn them small monies. I vend food, I am a street vendor, I'm a shoe shiner, I'm a boda rider. These guys depend on what they earn every day and where they stay back at their homes, which is not very far away from the city. They don't have any other
maybe a
livelihood.
Yes.
No shop, no garden. So it's only this work of theirs. As much as they earn 1,000 from that small work of theirs, that is enough for them to run life on a daily. But now we have locked them home. That's why you see police was fighting with them. For them, they were ready to walk and come once the lockdown was instituted. But police was stopping them and saying, please go back home. The logic is this. Don't congest because we want to save you from the disease. If we had understood that logic, they would understand much better. But also, if they don't have what to eat, it's a challenge. It's a catch-22.
An empty stomach is really disaster. Anyone can do anything.
Exactly.
Because they see a life going.
Exactly. So we said, government decided that let's think about a small package for our colleagues that fall in that category to go through the 42 days. And we looked at what we did in the last lockdown. We gave out actual food, food items, but this time we said, what was the worth that everybody received? It was about 80,000. Now, of the 80,000, we said, since we are not engaging in buying fuel, loading trucks, paying people who are loading and offloading and taking to each house allowances and buying them water, that small saving increase on what you're giving everybody by 20,000. So that's how we got to the 100,000. That was the logic. And that's how we have been running. Now, at the village level, we had lists. We had to have lists where we start from. And we said the town clerks deal with these people in their day-to-day trading of business. Or whatever they do, they interact with the town clerk's office.
Now we're looking at the division town clerk.
Division, yes.
Okay.
Because if you're a saloon owner, you're either going to register to get a license, or these people have associations. Border stage A, registered their members. Those lists end up in the town clerk's office. So we said, okay, let's start from there. But to make sure we are paying the right people, let's take the lists back to the villages. People look at them, and they update as they wish, or as they understand, as we have guided.
Let's properly understand the word update regarding these lists, because now these lists are coming from the town clerk.
Yes.
What is the role of the LC? Do they include, do they remove when the list comes before them?
When the lists come, we told the town clerk to work with his team. The community development officer, the labor officers, they have ward supervisors. We also incorporated the village health teams as the lead teams to go work with the leaders they will find at the village level. And do what? Look at the list they have got. It doesn't matter whether the names there are not from that village, don't mind. Work with the village members, communities, to update accordingly. Remove who you think does not deserve, is not in your area. Replace with somebody you know in your village. Say, in our village, we have a Mugabe who rides a boda and this stage is the other side, or maybe at worker's house. So you replace until you reach the threshold, because each area was given a threshold within which to enter the numbers which you shouldn't exceed. So once you reach your threshold, then you submit. It was basically meant to be a community dialogue. That as a community, because we expect, a village is a small place.
Very true.
So you would expect who lives in household A, who lives in household B, who lives in household C. As members in the village, we always know. We even know who is more vulnerable. So it was left to you to decide and say, we as our village, I think, let's remove Mugabe. Yes, he is vulnerable and falls in this category, but I think Muchibi there is more needy, according to what we see every day. Let's put Muchibi there. So that was the kind of power and leverage we gave the community members. Then after that, after lists are updated, sent back to the town clerk, where we had data entrance. People who sat down to remove the information from the paper to the computer before they sent to the ministry for payment. That was the process.
We first saw Guru, a gentleman from Guru, first received this money. And of course, he was excited as it was being launched by the Prime Minister. Give us an update. I'm right being informed people of Kampala, some as late as 7 yesterday PM began receiving these messages on their phone, those under those categories, and have truly satisfied the criteria and measures that are being put in place by the ministry. How far have we gone?
The good news this morning is people of Kampala have been waiting. And they are right to do so because Kampala is a huge number. Imagine, of the 500,000 persons we are paying, 157,000 are from Kampala alone in the center. So that's a quarter of the people we are paying coming from just one area. So they are right to be, you know, to ask, where is our money? But you see, the big numbers come with also the challenge of entry of data into the system, because now it means you have a whole pile of data to do so. So the process was a little bit slow at first, but we found a quick solution. We brought in more data entrants to quicken the operation. And by this morning, last evening, we had 43,882,000 entries made. That was Sunday. By the way, for us, it was a normal working day. Right from the ministry to all the partner agencies of government we are working with, NIRA, NITA, Post Bank, Airtel, MTN. It was a normal day for us. From morning to evening, we left work after midnight. That's when we left work, because we were paying these people, especially Kampala. With the 43,000 entries made yesterday, we started paying. And many people in Kampala can now testify that they slept with a happy message on their phones. And it would be good if news media houses like UBC can go out and look out for some of these people and get their stories, because they have been waiting. Now the money has arrived. What next? We need to hear their voices. We need to hear what they're saying. How are they going to spend the money? Of course, people spend money differently. It would be good to know. But also bring that message that, you know, finally, Kampala is starting to receive their money.
Mugabe, just remind you, we have the PRO, Public Relations Officer, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development. That is Frank Mugabe with us, as he's giving us an update on the COVID-19 relief, where people in Kampala now have also, as early as yesterday by 7, were receiving these messages very well. But Mugabe, also you mentioned of the ceiling. I come from an area where I'm one of the local leaders, and this was a very big challenge. What drove you to these numbers, where maybe a village of about 1,000 people, then a list comes and maybe you have about 20, 30 people. So what criteria did you follow to decide that such a village, at such an area, let you have this number, then you have this number?
Thank you so much. I think the first parameter was that we were looking at 38% of the households in a particular municipality, city or area. 38%. Why? Because, like I said, the people who work within Kampala and fall in the categories we are looking at are not that many, by the way. They wouldn't be endless, let me say. There are many, yes, but their figure stops somewhere. Because me and you work within Kampala, the center of Kampala, but we are not as needy as this person who sells on the street here, just outside UBC, between UBC and Crested Towers, that lane that slopes down. Those boys who keep selling car accessories, the women who sell fruits on that lane, they are in this situation in a more vulnerable position than a shop owner in Kampala, than an arcade owner in Kampala. Yes, we all work here, but we don't have the same level of vulnerability. So there is a knockoff that happens, that while you're looking at a certain population, you start eliminating. You say, now, let's remove the shop owners. Let's remove the arcade owners. Let's remove even some restaurant owners. Don't fall in this category. Yes, you work within an area we are trying to find out, but you're not that needy like the girl who helps you move the food from your restaurant to another arcade that is miles away. So that is part of the criteria we used to get down to these numbers. But also, we were guided by the figures that we used around in the last food distribution. So those became also a baseline upon which we involved all these other parameters I've mentioned.
Simple, but very important. What is this relief money meant for?
The relief money, like I said, is, you can consider it as a cash mode of the food items that we gave out in the last lockdown. It's a translation. Like last time we gave you food items in a true nature. We gave you posho, we gave you beans. This time we are giving you money. Because look, food also, we don't eat the same food. While I do posho, my neighbor has a staple food that is kalo. So why should you subject me to posho, yet in my staple, in my normal household living, I deal with kalo? Or me, I prefer matoke. Or I do cassava. So it is also a way of dignifying our citizens, that we let you decide for yourself, that the money is here worth what you should have received. It's up to you to decide. And indeed, everybody decides for themselves. And you're going to be amazed. And we want to track this because it's one of the very first we are expanding across the country. Because, you know, we pay cash to Ugandans who are 80 and above every month. And the results we are seeing in that program.
That's the 25 sage.
Yeah, the 25 sage money are very good. As small as it is. Some older persons have used it amazingly. They have bought animals, and the goats, they bought 1 goat, 2 goats. Now they have multitudes of goats. Others have used the money to improve their houses, bought mattresses, bought, you know, depending on what they want to use it for. Other than you coming and saying, I think this old person needs food. Let me buy for them sugar, let me buy salt. What if they have salt already in the house? So you pile them with salt, and what is the use? Give them the cash, let them decide according to what their needs are. So we thought money is good, but we want to encourage people to use it very, very sparingly. By the way, 100,000, you may look at it as being small, but there is somebody somewhere who has looked for that 100,000 for many months so that they can start a small side business. Maybe sell mandazi, maybe put up a small kiosk, roadside kiosk at their homestead. And they have looked for that 100,000 from relatives, from friends, and failed to get it. This could be a breakthrough opportunity for them, I can tell you. And I'm sure we are going to get such cases who will have used the money very, very well to plan for their life beyond this lockdown.
If I let you go, let's look at also people that do not have mobile phones, maybe people that do not have even IDs. What is their fate? How are they going to be able to get this aid through the Post Bank Uganda?
For those that have, because the key identifier is the national ID, the NIN. You should have that. Everybody who will receive this money will have to have a NIN. Now, there are those who have a NIN but don't have a phone. Those we are creating a list for them, a separate list. So that once we have entered all the data we need in our system, we shall have a separate list of village A in Nansana. We have so many people, maybe 10, who have NINs but no telephone number. Then Post Bank will have their mobile banking vans driving to those areas and doing hard cash payments to those residents. That is the system.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Frank Mugabe. But before I let you go, let me have your final remarks regarding this aid and, of course, the excitement we know every Ugandan will not be able to get. But at least we hope that the most hit will be able to get. Although also vulnerability has also shifted maybe.
Yeah, vulnerability, you know, by the way, vulnerability depends on the situation you're addressing. Today we are looking at those who work within urban centers. But tomorrow, if we are distributing agricultural items, again, you'll find the person who is vulnerable is different. It may not be this person we are giving. Right now, they are looked at the most needy. But when you look at, again, another situation, they are those who are most vulnerable. So every situation creates a population, a category of population that gets vulnerable with the situation. And that's how government responds. They assess a situation as per se. You do first an analysis of what has occurred. Then you look at those who must have been affected adversely. And then try to address their concerns at that moment. So vulnerability depends on the situation you're dealing with. And that's why most people have been saying We are all needy.
One could have lost a job. Maybe he's more needy than this person who has been sailing around UBC. Yet at the end of that day, maybe they can still make ends meet. And this one is totally gone.
Exactly. So if you say we are all needy, COVID has made us all needy in one way or the other. Yes, I may still have my job, but my friend, with the kind of spread of this disease, some of us have had to deal with 4 patients at one time. 4 patients.
And of course, dependents who are counting on you because you're
they
still
look
working.
at you. They say, you still go to UBC and work. You still go to your office and work. Can you help? And you know how it has been expensive. So if you have 4 patients at one time, you are equally needy in that moment. You even call colleagues and they will not help you, by the way, because they're also facing the same situation. So COVID is an equalizer. It has brought us all to the same level. But again, we need, while as we are in the same level, we need to look at those who have been affected differently and try to support them as a government.
When should we expect this relief to end? That if I've not received maybe a voucher, I've not received money, I was registered, then it is done?
As long as you're on the registration list from your village and you're within the numbers that were given to the village, you receive your money. There is no, even if we say we are still doing the exercise by next week, you receive your money. But what we know now, with over 300,000 entries done, and Kampala bringing in their 150,000 entries much massively now into our system, by Wednesday, we should have paid almost everybody across the country. And left with those, we shall pay by cash. Those will be the last lot, because those ones, you need to have a full list before you go to a particular village. So those will be almost the last that we shall pay within 1 day or 2 days and close it, really.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Frank Mugabi, who is the spokesperson of the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. The money has come your way. Be responsible enough to ensure that you put it to proper use. It is relief, but above all, stay safe and let's fight statistics regarding cases of COVID-19. Have a lovely day. I'll leave you with Ruben.